Hi guys, and welcome back to the Crochet Tour YouTube channel. In today's video I'm bringing you another new pattern, and this time it's another Pokemon pattern. So I know I've got a lot of these, but I really enjoy making them. This time it's a little bit different because I've decided that I'm actually going to do a beginner series. So I'm going to make some videos that are specifically tailored towards beginners, so potentially not complete beginners, but people that, you know, have maybe only made one or two things so far and they're really just starting out. So if you guys like this style of video, then do let me know, or if you don't like it and you want me to go back to more advanced videos that are just like tailored towards people that have quite a lot of crochet experience and I just show you the more complicated parts, then let me know. I'm kind of easy either way, but I have been getting a lot more messages recently from people that say, look, I'm a complete beginner and I was actually able to follow your tutorial, and like I'm really pleased that people have been able to follow these, but I think it would be quite nice for me to have a specific series for people that are just wanting some easier projects to start off with. So I've made Diglett today, and obviously this is quite an easy character because there's not much to it. You've just got to make the body, do a little bit of extra work for the rocky part at the bottom, add a little bit of face details, and there's no felt or glue required in this one. It's just all yarn as well, which makes it a little bit easier than some of my other patterns. The good thing about this pattern, although I've made it beginner friendly in the video in the sense that I'm explaining all of the stitches to you and slowing it down a little bit to make it a bit easier to follow, there are quite a lot of different stitches in this that if you're a beginner you probably haven't come across yet. So for example, there's going to be back loop only work, there's going to be bobble stitches, and there's also going to be crocheting around a foundation chain instead of crocheting in a magic circle. So there are quite a lot of different techniques in this, and I think this is going to be a really good one if you're a beginner but you want to learn some new techniques than just single crocheting and double crocheting. So yeah, I think that's probably enough waffle from me. So I really hope that you guys enjoy this tutorial, and let's get straight into what you'll be needing for this. And as always, the written pattern will also be available on my blog and linked down below. For this tutorial you'll be needing aran weight yarn in the following colours: brown, grey and pink. You definitely don't need as much of the grey and pink as I have here, or even as much of the brown, to be honest, but the pink is just for the tiny little nose and the grey is for the kind of rocky part around the Diglett, so you really don't need much of these two colours at all. You'll be needing your crochet hook to go along with whatever weight of yarn you're using. I'm obviously using aran, so I've got a 4mm crochet hook, but if you're using heavier or lighter weight yarn, then just size up or down as required. You'll also need some scrap yarn in black and white. This is for adding the eye details. You could also use embroidery thread, or you could also use felt if you'd prefer. You'll be needing some stuffing. You'll need more than this, but this is just to demonstrate. You may want a couple of pins for pinning the nose down when you're going to sew that to Diglett's face, but it's not necessary. If you don't have them, don't worry. You will probably want a stitch marker. I've just got an offcut of yarn here for mine. And then finally, you'll want a yarn needle for sewing the nose to Diglett and also for adding the eye details to Diglett. So yeah, that's everything you'll be needing for this tutorial. We're going to start off by crocheting the main body for Diglett. So with your brown yarn and your crochet hook, you're going to start off by creating a magic circle. So I'll just do that quite slowly so you can follow how I'm doing that. Just crossing the yarn over like this and holding it with your finger over here. Then you can insert your hook under the first loop that you've made and pull through that second loop, twisting as you do so, and there you've created your magic circle. So the final thing you need to do is holding on to this loop, let go of everything other than this little tail here, and then do a chain like this, and that will keep your loop secured now, so even if you're not holding on to it, it won't fall out of place. So now that you've got your magic circle, we're going to start off by doing 6 single crochets in a magic circle. And sorry, just to show you, for the single crochet, you're going to go through the magic circle like this, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through both loops on your hook. And you're going to do that 6 times. And then once you've got your 6 single crochets, you're just going to pull on this tail here and that will close up the hole. So just pull quite tightly. And there you go. You may need to pull again once you've started crocheting in the second round, but for now you can just leave it as tight as it will go, like this. So that's round 1 complete. For round 2, we're going to be doing an increase in each of our 6 single crochets all the way around, and if you're any good at maths then you'll be able to tell that that's going to get you up to 12 single crochets at the end of the round. Now an increase is just doing 2 single crochets in the same stitch, and that helps obviously to increase the number of stitches in each round. So I'm going to start off by going into my first single crochet here, and if you're ever not sure where the first single crochet is, because I know that little loop there can be a little bit confusing, what you can do is you can just count back from the last one you did, and sometimes I find that helps me find the beginning of the round. Also you can use stitch markers too, which I might do in this round as well just to demonstrate. So if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then I know that this must be the first single crochet in the round. So I'm going to go into both loops for this. Sometimes it can be a little bit tight on the first round, and then I'm just going to do my single crochet as usual, but then I'm also going to do another one in that same stitch. And as I mentioned previously, you may still notice that you have a bit of a hole. If you do, then you're just going to want to pull on that tail a little bit more to close up the hole, as you can see here. I'm going to continue doing my increases, so I've got 5 more increases to do. So this is the second one. And again, I've still got a little bit of a hole there that I can see, so I'm going to pull on this once more. I really think that's closed up now. You should hopefully be able to see, so I shouldn't be needing to pull on this tail anymore. So now I've got 4 more increases to do, and you'll notice that on this third one I'm not crocheting over the tail anymore. I'm just letting that hang, because I think after doing a couple of increases over the tail it's probably secured enough in place, so I don't really need to be doing any more, but you can continue to crochet over the tail if you would like. So this is my third one, this is my fourth one, this is my fifth one, and then this will be my sixth one. So that's the end of round 2. We've now got 12 single crochets all the way around. I know I said I'd use my stitch marker in this round, but I will actually use it in the next round to demonstrate how to use that. So for the third round, we're going to be doing a single crochet and then an increase, and we're going to repeat that pattern all the way around, and that will get us up to 18 single crochets at the end of the round. So I'm doing my first single crochet, and I'm going to pull out the loop a little bit like this so that I can go back in and add my stitch marker. So I'm just going in here and just pulling my stitch marker through. It's good to use a contrasting colour because then it's a bit more obvious where you've put your stitch marker. So that's my first single crochet of the round, and now I'm going to do my increase, and then I'm going to just continue single crochet and increasing all the way around. And there we have it. You should now have 18 single crochets all the way around. I'm going to talk you through the next few rounds now because they're just mixtures of single crochets and increases in each round. If you need to see how a single crochet or an increase is done again, then you can just go back to the beginning of the video where I'm showing you this. So for round 4, you're going to do 2 single crochet increase and repeat that pattern 5 more times to get you up to 24 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 5, 3 single crochet increase, repeat 5 more times to get you up to 30 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 6, single crochet all the way around, so no increases in round 6, just simply single crocheting all the way around. Round 7, 4 single crochet increase, and repeat that 5 more times to get you up to 36 single crochets at the end of the round. And then rounds 8 to 23, so quite a lot of rounds of just single crocheting all the way around, so 36 single crochets in each of those rounds. And that'll get you to the point where you're ready to start round 24, and that's where I'll meet you as we're doing something slightly different in that round that I'm going to need to show you. So yeah, I'll meet you when you finish round 23. I'm now at the stage where I'm about to start round 24, and this is what my Diglett looks like now, so hopefully you can kind of see it taking shape. So for round 24, it's going to be a little bit different, as I mentioned, and we're going to be working in the back loops only. And we're also going to be starting to do some decreases in this round. So what you're going to do is you're going to start off by doing 4 single crochets in the back loops only. And when I say that, this is the front loop, this is the back loop. So you just want to be going into the back loop and do 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then what you're going to do is you're going to do a decrease. So to do a decrease, you start off as if you're going to be doing a single crochet, and by the way, this is obviously in the back loops only as well. Everything in round 24 is in the back loops only. So we're going to start off as if we're doing a single crochet, but then we're going to stop at this point, and instead of yarning over and pulling through the 2 loops, we're going to go into the next stitch instead and pull through another loop like this. And then we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on our hook, and that is our decrease. So I'll just show you this pattern once more, because we're going to be doing 4 single crochet decrease in the back loops around the whole round, and that will get us down to 30 stitches at the end of round 24. So just to show you again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a decrease. Okay, so I'll meet you when you've finished that all the way around. I've just finished round 24, and this is what it's now looking like. Hopefully you'll be able to see that these are those front loops that we didn't end up working in, and we're going to need these later, and this is going to be to help us create the kind of rock effect with our grey yarn. We're going to essentially be reattaching that into these loops and doing a bit more crocheting around the bottom part of Diglett. So yeah, but we can ignore those for now until we get to that part. So now for round 25, we're going to be going back to working in both loops, and that's going to be the case for all the remaining rounds in our brown colour. So we're going to this time do 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, and then a decrease, like so. And you're going to repeat that pattern again all the way around, and that should get you down to 24 single crochets at the end of round 25. Then I'll also just explain round 26 to you, because it's basically the same thing, except this time you're going to do 2 single crochet decrease and repeat that all the way around, and that'll get you down to 18 single crochets at the end of round 26. I'm going to meet you when you finish round 26, as we then need to add some stuffing, and then we can probably just do the final couple of rounds together. I've just completed round 26, and this is what my Diglett looks like. So it's time to add some stuffing and add a bit of shape to him. So I'm just going to pull out the yarn like this, just to make sure that this doesn't end up accidentally undoing itself. And then I'm going to grab some stuffing. You want quite a lot of stuffing. You want to stuff this quite firmly, and I'm just going to push this in. Okay, so I've got quite a lot of stuffing to start with. Pushing that in. And then I'll see what that looks like, and if I need some more, I'll just add some more. So let's see. Yeah, it looks like I'm going to need a little bit more. I'll try adding this amount and see. If it's too much, you can always remove some. I think that's definitely enough. It may even be a little bit too much potentially, but what I'm probably just going to do is continue working the next couple of rounds, and if I think it's looking a little bit misshapen, then I might undo my work and just take some of the stuffing out. Let's have a look and see how that's looking, because effectively what we're trying to do, this part is going to be the bottom part of Diglett that's going to kind of try and sit flat, so we don't want to add so much stuffing that we're almost making that bit poke out a little bit at the bottom. So I might just remove a bit actually from the bottom here. I think that should be okay now, so I'm just going to leave it at that. So whenever you're happy with the amount of stuffing, let's move on to the final 2 rounds in our brown colour. So for round 27, we're going to be doing single crochet decrease all the way around, and that'll get us down to 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So that's round 27 complete. You should have 12 single crochets all the way around, and we're nearly finished. We just need to do round 28 now. In round 28, we're just going to decrease all the way around, so that'll be 6 decreases, and that'll mean that we have 6 stitches at the end of the round. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. So that's the final round complete. Now you should have your 6 stitches left over, and what we're going to do is we're just going to close up that hole now. So you're going to be needing your yarn needle for this, and you'll obviously need your scissors to snip your yarn. Leave a little bit of a tail, probably about this much will be enough. So yeah, grab your yarn needle and we're going to close up that hole now. I've got my needle. I'm going to put my yarn onto the needle like this, and then what we're going to do is for each of these 6 stitches, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we're going to just go into the front loop only and just pull that yarn tail through and pull tightly every time you do it. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and you should then have basically no hole left over. It should all have been closed up. So then the final thing I'm going to do is just push my yarn tail through that hole and back out through a random stitch in the body, and then I'm just going to snip that yarn tail to get rid of it now, as close as I can to the body. So that is our main body complete of our Diglett. So you should have something that looks a little bit like this now. The next step is going to be to go back to those front loops that we didn't work in previously, and we're going to reattach our grey yarn and do a bit more crochet to add the rocky effect at the bottom of Diglett. So let's move on to that now. I've got my grey yarn now, and you're going to want to reattach this into any of the available front loops that we have here. You can choose any of them, it really doesn't matter which one that you go into. So I think I'm just going to choose one of the ones near the beginning of that round, and you can tell that because this would have been the final front loop that we didn't work into, and this would have been the first front loop because there's a bit of a gap between them, if you see there, whereas for the rest of them they're all directly next to each other. So I might just go into this one here. And to reattach the yarn, you're just going to kind of put the yarn over your hook like this, the short tails on the left, the long tails on the right. Pull through and then do a chain of 1 using this longer tail. And that should help to secure that in place now. And then what I would suggest you do is when you're crocheting in this round, just crochet over that tail to secure it in place a little bit better. So what we're going to do for the first round in grey is we're going to do 5 single crochets and then an increase, and we're going to repeat that all the way around, and that should get us up to 42 single crochets at the end of round 1. So I'll just show you the beginning of me doing that. So I'm going to do 5 single crochets, 1, 2, and this round may be a little bit fiddly, so just take your time. 3, 4, I'm going to stop crocheting over the tail now and I'll cut that later. 5, and then an increase, so 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So yeah, I'm just going to repeat that pattern 5 more times now, and that'll get me up to 42 single crochets at the end of the round. So I finished the first round in grey, and now we're going to do the second one, and this is going to again be a slightly different stitch that we're going to be doing in this round. So we're going to be doing a 5 double crochet bobble and then a single crochet, and we're going to repeat that all the way around. So 5 double crochet bobble, single crochet, bobble, crochet, etc. And that's going to be 21 times that we're going to repeat that pattern, and that'll get us all the way around. So I'm going to show you how to do the 5 double crochet bobble. So if you're not aware of how to do a double crochet to start with, then I'll show you that first, because then that will hopefully make a bit more sense to you. So a normal double crochet, you would yarn over, go through your stitch and pull through a loop like this, then yarn over again, pull through the first 2 loops only, yarn over again, pull through the remaining 2 loops like that, and that would be a normal double crochet. But for a bobble stitch, what we're going to do is, and this is a 5 double crochet bobble, you can get bobble stitches that are 3 double crochets, all different numbers of double crochets, but this one is 5. So we're going to be starting off like a normal double crochet, so yarning over, pull up a loop like this, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops on your hook. But instead of yarning over and pulling through the remaining 2 loops like you would do for a normal double crochet, we're going to start our second double crochet. So yarn over, pull through a loop, and then yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops only, and you're just going to do that another 3 times. Okay, so I've now got 5 half completed double crochets on my hook. So now to finish this all off and to finish off the bobble stitch, you're just going to yarn over and pull through all of the loops remaining on your hook like that. And that's what a bobble looks like. It's quite a chunky stitch, and it's good to create a bit of texture, and you'll kind of see the effect that it creates when we do that all of the way around. So that's our bobble, and then I'm going to do a single crochet in the next stitch. And then I'm just going to repeat that all the way around. So I'm going to show you a couple more times, I think. So I'm doing my bobble now. Then a single crochet. Then a bobble, and then a single crochet. So hopefully you get the idea now. So you're just going to repeat that pattern all the way around. That'll get you 21 bobbles and 21 single crochets at the end of the round. So I'll meet you when you've done that. I just completed round 2 and this is what it's looking like. Now what you'll probably notice is that some of the bobble stitches are sort of popped out this way and some of them will be going in the other direction. Now you could either pop them all out like this to be uniform if you like the way that that looks, but I actually think it adds a little bit to the effect of it being kind of like a rocky, uneven surface if you leave some of them like popping out this way and some of them popping out this way. So I might just leave it as it is, but it's completely up to you how you prefer it to look. So that's that. We're not going to do any more crocheting with our grey colour, so we can just slip stitch into the next stitch to finish this off. So I'll just show you how I do that. So I'm just going to go into this stitch, pull through a loop and then pull that loop through the one on my hook, and that's my slip stitch done. Now we can cut the yarn, leave a little bit of a tail because it gives you something to work with in order to weave that in a little bit. I'll show you how I do that now actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get my yarn needle, got the yarn on my needle, I'm going to weave the yarn through to get to the part where we can actually weave it into Diglett's body. So I'm just going down to this part here, and then I'm going to just weave it into Diglett's body and out through another stitch a little bit of a way away so that it helps to secure it in place. If I can actually get hold of my yarn needle. There we go. So I'm just going to pull that out. Don't pull too tightly, just do it very gently. And then I'm just going to cut that yarn tail. You can do more knotting if you want. If you know that this is going to be like played with by someone, you might want to secure it a little bit more than that. But because I know I'm just going to be displaying this like on a bookshelf or whatever, it's not going to really be touched, I think that should be sufficient for it not to become unravelled. So this is what your Diglett should look like now. I'll actually zoom out a little bit. So now I think you can really start to see it taking shape. So the final thing that we need to do is crochet the nose, and then we'll add the eye details with our black and white yarn scraps. So you're going to need a small amount of pink yarn next. Okay, so the nose is quite a small piece, so it's going to be quick for us to crochet. However, I am using a slightly different technique, so if you are a beginner then you may not have seen this before, but I'm going to talk you through the whole thing, and I'm going to film the whole thing as well because this is so quick to make. So we're going to be working in a round, but we're going to be working the round around a foundation chain, and if you're a beginner you may have only ever seen foundation chains used when you're going to be doing rows, but yeah, I'll show you exactly what I mean. So we're going to start off by chaining 3. So in the normal way, just start off your chain. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to be working into the chain, starting from the second chain from hook. So that's probably the same as what you've previously seen if you've only ever worked in rows at this point. Then we're going to be doing something slightly different to work around the other side of the chain as well. So we're going to start off by doing a single crochet and an increase. So a single crochet in the second chain and then an increase in the final one. You can do these in the front loops if you want, so these front loops here. I'm actually going to be doing this in these back loops, so you should notice there's a back loop as well for each of the chains. It doesn't really matter which one you choose, but I just prefer how it looks doing it into the back loops, so that's what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to do a single crochet and then an increase. Okay, so when that's finished, we're then going to turn our work like this, and we're going to work into the other side of our chains. So we're going to do the exact same thing that we just did, single crochet increase, but into the other side of the chains, and I'm also going to be working over the tail so that I can secure that in place and cut that later. So I'm going to start off by doing my single crochet here, and I am going to be going into both loops of the chain this time, like so. And then I'm going to do an increase here. This one can be quite tight to get into, but hopefully you can find where it is. So I'm doing an increase. Okay, and then you might just want to pull on your tail a little bit just to make sure that it's not too loose in there. And then you can just cut this tail now to get rid of it so that it doesn't confuse us. So that is most of the nose complete. So the final thing we're going to do is just to tidy this off a little bit in the way that we finish off. So I'm going to cut my yarn. I'm going to leave obviously a tail long enough for sewing. I always leave probably way more than I actually need just to be on the safe side. I'm going to pull that tail through like this. And as you can see, this looks a little bit weird and misshapen if we just finish it off like this. You could have done a slip stitch into that stitch to finish off, but again, it would have still looked a little bit misshapen, I would say. So what I normally do in these situations where I need to finish off a round very neatly is I'm going to do the fake single crochet method. And for the fake single crochet method, you can either create a fake single crochet over an existing single crochet, so I could create one over this one here, or you can just create a fake single crochet where none currently exists, so I could create one in this gap here. And in this instance, I'm going to be creating a new fake single crochet here to finish off the round, because I think that's going to be the neatest finish to this piece. So I'm just going to turn my work like this. I'm going to find the next single crochet and just put my hook through both loops of that stitch, and I'm going to bring that tail through like this. Then I'm going to go back to that final single crochet that we just did previously, and I'm going to go into the closest loop to us currently, so just this one here. And I'm going to pull that yarn tail through like this. And I'm just going to neaten it up a little bit with my fingers like that. And now you can't tell where the round finished, and I really like that. I think it just makes it look so much neater, the finished piece. So that's that finished, and now we're just going to need to sew this to the body. So you may at this point probably want 1 or 2 pins to help you keep it in place while you're sewing it down. So let's position this on the body and then let's sew it. So I just had a little look at my Diglett and tried to decide which side looked the neatest, and that was the side I was going to add the face to, so I picked this side. And then I just added the nose a little bit higher than halfway down the body, because his face is a little bit more towards the top half of his body than it is bang in the middle. So what I did was I placed it at roughly between rounds 11 and 12, I would say, so you could follow a similar positioning if you wanted to. And what I'm going to do is I've just pinned this in place. I've got my yarn needle and I'm going to use this to sew down. So I'm going to be doing a running stitch to do this. So I'm going to be going into one of these brown loops to start with nearby. And then I'm going to go into another nearby brown loop and back up through the pink. And then I'm going to go pink, then brown, and then brown, then pink. And I've just, as you can see, I haven't quite gone through all of the loops for that one, so I'm just going to correct that. And I'm just going to do that all the way around. I may even remove one or both of my pins now because they're starting to get in the way a little bit. Okay, so I've done that all the way around now. The nose looks nice and secure in place. You can just use your fingers as well to get the correct shaping that you're happy with. And then you can just weave your yarn tail through to the back of the body, I would suggest. Like that. And then we can cut that. Okay, so Diglett's got his nose now. The final thing is to add the eye details, so let's get our black and white scrap yarn. So I've got my scrap black yarn now. I'm going to go into a random stitch and just come out where I want the bottom of the eye to be. And I'm going to leave a bit of a tail here so that I can secure that a little bit later. And I'm going to go roughly 3 single crochets up into a stitch up here and then come back out where I started. And I'm going to repeat that 3 times. So this is my second. And then this is my third. Don't worry if stuffing's coming out, by the way, you can tidy that up with some tweezers later. But yeah, that's the first eye, and then I'm going to go where I want the second eye to start and do the exact same thing again. Okay, so you can do a bit of playing around to make sure you're kind of happy with how the 2 eyes are sitting, but once you've got that, then you can just again weave this yarn tail through to the back. And then you can do a little bit of moving the yarn tail around through the body a little bit to try and keep it a bit more secure in place, and then when you're happy with it you can just snip those tails like we've done previously. So that's the black part of the eyes complete. Then we just need to add the little white detail and then we're done. I've got my white yarn now and I'm just going to add a little bit of white at the top of the eye. So I'm going to come out through, try and get roughly in the middle top part of the eye, so like this, and then I'm just going to go through that same stitch that we went through previously and then try and come out and do the other side as evenly as I can. Okay, so I think that looks quite good, so I'm probably just going to leave it like that and again do a bit more weaving the yarn tail through the body out of some other stitches just to keep that as secure as possible. If you weren't happy with it for whatever reason, you can always just undo it, so just pull on this loop and just pull it back out again and try again. But yeah, I think that's probably as good as I'm going to get it. I'm not particularly good at doing eyes, so I don't want to mess up something that looks kind of okay, so I'm just going to leave it there instead of trying to get it completely perfect, because I just know that that'll end in disaster. So yeah, that will be your completed Diglett. So I'm just going to tidy mine up a little bit. I've got my tweezers so I can get rid of any stuffing bits that are poking through, so I'll just gently remove those like this to try and tidy it up a little bit like that. And I'll just cut those yarn tails and I'll show you what the finished Diglett looks like. So this is what my completed Diglett looks like. I think it's really cute. It's obviously a little bit more messy at the back, but who cares, because you're not going to see that bit. So yeah, this is what it looks like, and then it does obviously stand up too, so hopefully yours will stand up as well. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this tutorial. It's a bit different. I don't normally do beginner tutorials, but if you've enjoyed this style of video, then do let me know and I can do some more beginner level tutorials in the future. Anyway, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.